Okay, I want to talk about some really interesting electoral findings um, in relation to Orthodox Jews and their voting for Trump, comparing 2016 and the 2020 election. Now, for people who live in the Orthodox community and people who are aware of the demographics and the political leanings of this community, this won't be such a surprise to you. But I think for outsiders who don't really understand the factors that drive the political leanings of Orthodox Jewry, um, we'll have some interesting points for you. So let's take a look here. So I'm going to start out with what's considered the five towns area of New York. This is fascinating. So this is Far Rockaway Five Towns. It's a very Orthodox region of on the border of Queens and Long Island. The border. This is all New York. This is Queens over here, and we'll get into that later because there's some other interesting points. But I'm going to focus here. I lived in this community for about 7 years or so. It's not as extreme as Brooklyn or Lakewood or probably even the Muncie areas, but those would probably be the top three in that order. This is probably fourth. I think that's reasonable to say. Man, the increase in these areas is absolutely insane. Okay, so I'm going to focus in on this little area right here. I don't know if in this window, here we go. So this area went, there's a few different neighborhoods here, but we are looking at about 90% for Trump, 90%. This is like Far Rockaway, that's Lawrence, that's Woodmere. They're really all the same. It's now what's interesting. I should say what's particularly interesting actually here is this is um, a pretty unique mix. I suppose you find it in Brooklyn of very ultra orthodox, even Hasidic, but real from and more modern Orthodox enclaves that make up the five town. Far Rockaway is very religious, but they're pretty much all the same, and I think that's one area that saw a tremendous shift from Democrats to Republicans, or really from liberal to just straight up Trumpist, is in the modern Orthodox. Probably a lot of it related to Israel. Um, you'll see it's a 10-point increase, 20-point increase, 10 to 20-point increase, going to Trump. And wow, a lot of New York seem to have shifted to the right. The other it's just this is fascinating. So these are all this is let me check before I start saying stupid shit. Okay, we're back. So I wanted to confirm before I started spouting off about certain neighborhoods. There we go. And I was right. Okay, interact. So this is Williamsburg, and some people may be familiar with Williamsburg. It's become a very popular hipster spot. But before all that began, it was a bastion, a stronghold of uh, religious extremists, also known as Hasidim or Hasidics. And the other neighborhood is, wow, that's incredible. This is Borough Park, right over here. Again, 90, we're talking 90, wow, 97%. That is incredible. 98%. Same thing over here in the 90s. You can almost tell exactly where Orthodox Jews live based off of the voting behavior here. So this thoroughfare is Ocean Parkway. There's Ocean Avenue over here. And this is Flatbush Avenue. These are all, these are less Hasidic. This is more like your yeshivish, Litvish communities. I don't know what that is. Oh, you know what? This might be the Brewskis. One vote. I don't know what that means by one vote. That's pretty funny. Let's see. So do change. Okay, so there's two areas we were looking for. Williamsburg. Wow. Right? We're looking at change. Yeah. So these areas were so the change, there wasn't as much a change in the Far Rockaway Five Towns area, but New York, the Williamsburg and Borough Park and Flatbush areas of Brooklyn, radical shifts. They were in tight with the Clintons. Um, you can read some articles back from I think 2000 when Hillary was running for Senate. She went to New Square, which is up in the Muncie area, but she's been in bed for a long time uh, with Orthodox Jews. And yeah, I mean, you're looking at this area, it was somewhat, it was 50-50, 25, 50. Okay, let's, freaking camera. Let's take a look. We'll go a little further north. So switch over to 2020 results. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, 2020, and let's look at, so Spring Valley, this is Muncie. Yeah, this is all super religious. Check out this tool. It's pretty incredible. Just with the OBS Studio, it's a little hard to switch over. There we go. Okay. So we looked at a 20% jump or so going to Trump's 2020. But overall, I mean, it's in line. They're pretty much every Orthodox community we've looked at is 90% or so Trump. Now, I really want to check out. We'll check out Liquid. So the Liquid is interesting. So went 80% to Trump. And this isn't Ocean County. This is Lakewood. So Lakewood's about, the estimates I see are it's 100,000 people and it's 70% Jews. The rest are generally pretty poor Hispanic immigrants, and there is some Black community that's still there. 80%. And I think they were pretty tight with Clinton. Not that huge a shift, though. Not that big a shift. Pretty incredible, though. So this is what really got me initially. Let's see if we can zoom out. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take a larger look at New Jersey. It's a pretty liberal, middle of the road at most. The most conservative town, the most Trump-leaning town in New Jersey, is Lakewood by a long shot. And now we can look at New York. Heck, we could look at the entire New York State, the brightest red areas. We had Muncie over here. Let's zoom in a little bit. We have Far Rockaway, 5 towns over here, and we've got Williamsburg. We'll fix that camera. And we've got Williamsburg and Borough Park, and then Flatbush over here. This area is one. Anyway, real interesting. If you've got any comments or insight, want anything to add, just shoot me an email or comment below. I originally found out about this through the following article. Take a look at. Here we can interact. Let me interact. Why can't I interact? Voting Orthodox Jews are looking more like evangelicals. So this is really the heart of the issue here. Your more liberal Jews, ironically, one of the factions are called conservative Jews, but your Reformed Jews as well, your less religious Jews, um, have generally been liberal, oftentimes fairly progressive leaning, as one would expect from uh, a people only 75 years removed from the Holocaust. Orthodox Jews have largely voted in line with Democrats, but that's really because of the New York power structures, um, and um, because they depend heavily on the welfare state. Um, and we could go into that another time. But there are communities, there are areas in the New York, uh, in the New York City, in the upstate New York, in the Lakewood areas. It's like 50% are on Section 8, 50% on welfare. They, Medicare, Medicaid, I should say. Um, every once in a while, there's a scandal. There was a big bust of Medicaid fraud, I believe it was back in 2016. This isn't letting me scroll for some reason. Quite annoying. Anyway, Orthodox Jews have moved really, really, really far right. Um, I thought the article put it well, essentially comparing them to evangelicals, but they've pretty much gone off the cliff, which they've been running towards for a very long time. And Trump really helped them. So it's going to be an interesting few years to see how they develop, if there's a backlash. Very similar situation going on in Israel, and this has been heating up really since the founding of the state in Israel. But for the past 20 years or so, um, as the Orthodox community grows, because they have a birth rate of about, I think, somewhere between 6 and 8 babies, whereas any industrialized Western educated society is going to trend towards replacement at best. You're going to have like two children, and in a democracy, it pays to have a lot of kids. So lots going on there, and I think we'll have a lot of great content to discuss as it develops.